Connor Blake's fingers had stopped working. He stared at them in the dim glow of the streetlight. Blue, purple at the edges, the kind of color that meant cells dying, tissue shutting down, the body giving up. 17 years old and freezing to death in a Detroit parking lot. His grandmother would have said this was exactly the kind of stupid decision she'd warned him about. Too much heart, not enough sense. The coat he'd worn every day for 8 months lay wrapped around a stranger 50 feet away. A girl whose name he barely knew. A cheerleader who'd never looked at him twice in the hallways of Jefferson High. Connor tried to stand. His legs buckled. He went down hard on the ice. Pain didn't register anymore. The cold had taken that too. Taken everything except the voice in his head. His grandmother's voice. The last thing she'd said before the cancer took her. Be good, baby. Whatever happens, you be good. Don't let this world make you hard. He'd been good. Given away his only protection against a winter that killed homeless kids every year. Given it to Sophia Cross because she was dying faster than he was. Because her lips had turned blue and her body had stopped shivering, and Connor knew what that meant. Now he was paying for it. Connor crawled forward, one hand, then the other. Ice cut through his thin t-shirt. The shirt he'd bought at Goodwill for $2. The shirt that was supposed to be his backup, his just in case. Worthless now against 15 below zero. He made it 10 feet before his arms quit, face down in a snowbank, cold burning through skin, through muscle, all the way to bone. The abandoned laundromat flashed through his mind. His home for 8 months. Sleeping bag on concrete. Frozen water bottles in his jacket. The janitor job at Jefferson High that paid just enough for food. Not enough for rent, not enough for anything except survival. All of it ending here. Connor closed his eyes, listened to his heartbeat slow, felt his breath getting shallow. This was it. This was how Connor Blake died, had to remember his own name, had to hold on to something real. The engines came from nowhere, thunder rolling through the storm, getting closer, louder. Connor tried to lift his head, couldn't, tried to call out, no voice left. 12 motorcycles roared into the parking lot. Harleys, chrome gleaming through the white, headlights cutting the darkness like knives. The lead bike stopped 3 feet from Connor's body. Engine cutting. Kickstand hitting gravel. Heavy boots crunching through ice. Hands rolled him over. A face appeared above him. Older, maybe 50, silver-streaked hair. Eyes that had seen terrible things and learned to live with them anyway. The man's leather vest was covered in patches. Hell's Angels across the back. Detroit chapter. President patch on the front. Don't you die. The voice was gravel and smoke. You hear me. Don't you dare die. Connor's eyes focused. Tried to speak. Nothing came out except a wheeze. Where is she? The man grabbed Connor's shirt. Where's my daughter? Connor managed to lift one hand, pointed toward the gym doors, toward Sophia. The man's head snapped around. He saw her. Saw the coat wrapped around her small frame. Saw her trying to sit up, alive, moving, breathing. Something broke across the man's face, relief so profound it looked like pain. He turned back to Connor. His expression changed, hardened into something else. Something like respect. You gave her your coat. Not a question. A statement. Connor tried to nod. The movement sent black spots across his vision. How long you been out here? Connor held up trembling fingers. 5. Maybe 10 minutes. Time had stopped meaning anything. Jesus Christ. The man stripped off his jacket, his vest, everything he could spare, wrapped it around Connor's shoulders, pulled him close. Body heat on both sides. Bone. The man shouted, "Get over here now." Another biker appeared. Younger. 40 maybe. He took one look at Connor and his jaw went tight. Severe hypothermia. We move now or we lose him. They lifted Connor between them. The world spun. Connor's stomach lurched. He was going to be sick. Going to pass out. Going to die. Stay with me. The man's voice cut through the fog. I'm Steele. Steele Cross. You saved my daughter. I'm not letting you die. You hear me? I'm not letting you die. Connor's eyes fluttered. Tried to focus on Steele's face. On anything that would keep him in this world. Cold. The word barely made it past his lips. So cold. I know, just hold on, help's coming. The van appeared from somewhere, black, unmarked. They loaded Connor into the back. Bone climbed in with him. Steele stayed close. Someone wrapped blankets around Connor's body. Not enough, still freezing, still dying. The engine roared to life. The van tore down the street at speeds that should have been illegal. Connor felt every turn, every bump, every moment his body threatened to shut down completely. How far? Steele's voice, sharp with fear. 20 minutes, maybe less. He doesn't have 20 minutes. Then we make it in 10. Connor's vision was fading, edges going dark. He tried to fight it, tried to stay conscious, but the cold was winning. The cold always won. His grandmother's face appeared in the darkness. Young, healthy, the way she'd looked before the cancer. She was smiling, reaching for him. Be good, baby. Her voice clear as bells. You did good. I tried. Connor wasn't sure if he said it out loud or just thought it. I tried, Grandma. I know, sweetheart. I know. The darkness took him. 3 days later, Connor woke up in a bedroom he didn't recognize. Real sheets, real blanket, posters of motorcycles on the walls, sunlight streaming through a window showing snow-covered streets outside. He tried to sit up. Everything hurt. Muscles screaming, bones aching. His hands were wrapped in bandages. His feet too. He looked down at himself. Someone had dressed him in clean clothes. Thermal shirt, sweatpants, thick socks, easy. A man's voice, deep, familiar. You've been out 3 days. Connor turned his head. Steele sat in a chair beside the bed, still wearing his leather vest, still looking like he hadn't slept in a week. Where am I? Connor's voice came out like sandpaper. Safe. Warm. My compound. Your daughter. Is she? She's fine. Steele leaned forward. Because of you. Doctor said 10 more minutes and she would have had permanent damage. Maybe worse. You saved her. Connor closed his eyes. Relief flooded through him. She was alive. That was all that mattered. That coat was everything you had. Steele's voice was quiet now. Controlled. The way men talk when they're trying not to show emotion. My brothers checked the laundromat. Found your sleeping bag, your stuff. That jacket was survival gear. That was your life. Connor didn't say anything. What was there to say? He'd made his choice. Live with it or die with it. Apparently, he'd chosen to live. Most people would have walked past. Steele continued. Told themselves they had their own problems. Too cold, too dangerous, not their business. I'm not most people. No. Steele's eyes locked onto Connor's. You're not. A long silence stretched between them. Connor could hear voices somewhere else in the building. Laughter, the rumble of motorcycle engines, the sound of people living. I can't stay, Connor said finally. I have to get back. My things. What things? An abandoned building. Frozen water. A sleeping bag on concrete. Steele's voice hardened. That's not living. That's surviving. Barely. It's what I have. It's what you had, past tense. Steele stood up, walked to the window, stared out at the snow. Here's what happens now. You have a choice. Walk out that door. Go back to freezing. Go back to hiding from social services and skipping meals and wondering if you'll wake up tomorrow. Or you stay. 3 meals a day, real bed, finish school, find something you haven't had in a long time. What's that? Family? The word hit Connor like a fist. Family. He hadn't had family since his grandmother died 8 months ago. Hadn't even thought about the possibility of family. Family meant trust. Family meant vulnerability. Family meant getting hurt when they left. Why? Connor managed. Why would you do this for me? Because you gave my daughter your coat. Because I pay my debts. Because you're 17 years old and you should be worried about homework and girls. Not whether you'll freeze to death before morning. You don't owe me anything. Yes, I do. Steele turned back to face him. His expression was fierce. Final. My daughter is alive because of you. That's everything. That's a debt I can never fully repay. But I can give you a place, give you a chance, give you what you gave her. Life. Connor stared at Steele, looking for the catch, the angle, the moment when this kindness would turn into something else, something cruel. He'd been burned too many times. Foster homes that started okay and ended terrible. Social workers who promised help and delivered nothing. Adults who saw him as a problem to be solved or ignored. I don't know how to do this. Connor's voice cracked. Accept help. Trust people. I know. Steele's voice softened. That's why we go slow. Nobody's asking you to call me dad. Nobody's asking you to join anything. We're asking you to eat, sleep, be a kid for once. That's it. Everything else comes later or never. Your choice. Connor looked at his bandaged hands, thought about the laundromat, the cold, the constant fear, the gnawing hunger that never really went away. Thought about his grandmother, about what she would want for him. Okay. The word came out small, scared. Okay, I'll stay. For now, good. Steele nodded once. Sharp, satisfied. One more thing. What? The boys who left my daughter in that parking lot? Blake Carter and his friends. We know who they are. We know what they did. And there are going to be consequences. Connor's stomach dropped. Blake Carter, football captain, senator's son, untouchable. The kind of guy who made Connor's life hell every day at Jefferson High. What kind of consequences? The kind that makes sure they never hurt anyone again. Steele's eyes went cold, flat, the look of a man who'd done terrible things and would do them again if necessary. But that's my problem, not yours. You just focus on getting better. Steele left. Connor lay back against the pillow, stared at the ceiling, wondered what the hell he'd just agreed to. The door opened again 10 minutes later. A woman entered carrying a tray. She was maybe 50, heavy set, silver hair pulled back in a practical bun. Kind eyes, strong hands. I'm Rosa. She set the tray on the bedside table. Steele's wife. You've been asleep 3 days. Figured you'd be hungry. The smell hit Connor like a physical thing. Bacon, eggs, toast, orange juice. Real food, not cafeteria scraps or convenience store crackers. Real, honest-to-God food. His stomach growled so loud it echoed. Rosa smiled. That's what I thought. Eat. Don't talk. Just eat. Connor didn't need to be told twice. He tore through the food like he was starving. Because he was. Had been for 8 months. 3 plates later, he finally slowed down. Rosa hadn't moved. Just sat there watching him with an expression he couldn't read. When's the last time you had a real meal? She asked quietly. Thanksgiving. Connor wiped his mouth. School served turkey before break. 6 weeks ago. 6 weeks. Rosa's voice was flat. And before that, I had stuff. Crackers, canned soup. I wasn't starving. Boy, you weigh maybe 130 soaking wet. You were absolutely starving. Connor looked down at himself. She was right. He could count his ribs. See every bone in his hands. The kind of skinny that came from too many skipped meals. Too many nights choosing between food and warmth. Nobody's going to take this food away from you, Rosa said gently. Nobody's going to make you earn it. You eat when you're hungry. You sleep when you're tired. That's how things work here. Understand? Connor nodded, didn't trust himself to speak. Good. Rosa stood, collected the empty plates. Steele wants to see you when you're ready. His office is down the hall, last door on the left. Don't keep him waiting. She left. Connor sat there for a long moment, processing. This was real. All of it. The food, the bed, the safety. Real. He stood slowly. His legs wobbled but held. Someone had left clean clothes on a chair, jeans that looked close to his size, a thermal shirt, thick socks. He dressed carefully. Everything fit, like they'd measured him while he slept. The hallway was long, wood floors, motorcycle photos on the walls. Voices drifted from somewhere below, the sound of people living, laughing, existing without fear. Connor found Steele's office at the end of the hall. The door was open. Steele sat behind a desk covered in papers, reading something on his phone. He looked up when Connor knocked. Sit. Connor sat. The office was simple. Desk, chairs, filing cabinet. But behind Steele was a glass display case. And inside the case, hanging on a stand, was Connor's grandmother's coat. The leather had been clean, preserved. The patches she'd sewn by hand still visible. The zipper that never quite worked, hanging half open like it always did. Connor's throat closed up. Couldn't let it rot in an evidence locker. Steele said, that coat saved my daughter's life. It deserves better than that. It was my grandmother's. Connor's voice barely made it past the lump in his throat. She gave it to me before she died, said it would keep me safe. It did, kept my daughter safe. Steele leaned back in his chair. You made a decision yet? About staying, about everything. Staying, trusting, letting people help you. Steele's eyes were steady, assessing. I've been where you are, kid. Not the same situation, but the same feeling. Convinced the world's out to get you, building walls so high you can't see over them anymore. I don't have walls. You've got a fortress. I see it every time you look at that door. Planning your escape route. Every time someone gets too close and you flinch. Every time someone's nice and you wait for the catch. Connor said nothing. There was nothing to say. Here's the truth. Steele leaned forward. I don't need anything from you. I'm not running a scam. I'm not grooming you for something illegal. My daughter is alive because of you and I pay my debts. That's it. That's the whole play. People don't just help for no reason. I'm not helping for no reason. I'm helping because you earned it. Because my daughter would be dead or brain damaged without you. Because you gave away everything you had for a stranger. Steele's voice hardened. You want to know my angle? Fine, my angle is I don't want to read about a dead homeless kid in the paper next month and know I could have stopped it. The room went quiet. Connor felt something crack inside his chest. Something he'd been holding tight for 8 months. I don't know how to do this, he said finally. Accept help, trust people. I've been on my own so long. I know, that's why we're going slow. Nobody's asking you to join the club. Nobody's asking you to call me dad. We're asking you to eat 3 meals, sleep in a bed, go back to school like a normal kid. That's it. Everything else comes later or never. Your choice. Connor looked at his hands. Rough, calloused, the hands of someone who'd worked too hard for too long. What about my stuff? The laundromat, already handled. Shadow picked up your sleeping bag, your books, whatever you had there. It's in the closet of your room. My room. Until you decide otherwise. Yeah, your room. Something hot prickled behind Connor's eyes. He blinked it away, cleared his throat. Okay. Okay what? Okay, I'll stay. For now. Steele nodded. No smile, no celebration, just acknowledgement. Good. One more thing. What? Blake Carter, the boys who left Sophia to die. We're handling it. Connor's jaw tightened. Handling it how? My way. Steele's expression went flat. Dangerous. They left my daughter to die in 15 below weather. There are consequences for that. You're going to hurt them. No, that's too easy. That's over too fast. I'm going to destroy them. Their reputations, their futures, their father's career, everything they've built, everything they bought with their money and privilege. I'm going to take it apart piece by piece until there's nothing left. How? Security cameras caught everything. The parking lot, the confrontation, them driving away while Sophia screamed. I've got witnesses from the school who saw them target her. I've got text messages between Blake and his friends planning the whole thing. Steele smiled, and it wasn't friendly. Senator Carter thinks his money protects his son. He's about to learn different. Connor thought about Blake, about every time he'd been shoved into lockers, called names, made to feel like nothing, about Sophia blue-lipped and dying in the snow. Good. The word came out harder than Connor expected. Steele raised an eyebrow. No speech about taking the high road. Forgiveness being better than revenge. He tried to kill her because she said no to a dance. Connor's voice was steel. Some people don't deserve the high road. Now you're thinking like family. The word hit Connor again. Family. He stood up. Needed air, needed to process. I need to go. Outside. Get some air. Back door leads to the yard, Steele said. Don't go past the fence. And Connor. Yeah, she's out there. Sophia. She's been waiting to talk to you since you woke up. Might want to get that over with. Connor found Sophia sitting on a bench in the backyard, wrapped in a thick coat. Not his grandmother's jacket, he noticed. Something new. Her color was back. Her eyes were bright. She looked nothing like the dying girl in the snow. She stood when she saw him. You're awake. Yeah. Connor shoved his hands in his pockets. How do you feel? Better. She stopped. Rose is a good cook. Mama Rosa, right. Mama Rosa, awkward silence stretched between them. Connor shifted his weight, looked anywhere but at her face. I wanted to thank you, Sophia said finally, for what you did, for the coat, for staying with me until my dad came. You already thanked me. Back in the parking lot? That doesn't count. I was dying. I barely remember it. She stepped closer. You saved my life, Connor. You gave away your only coat in 15 below weather. You could have died, but I didn't, because my dad found you. If he'd been 5 minutes later, but he wasn't. Connor turned toward the fence, stared at nothing. This conversation was too much, too heavy. Why do you do that? Sophia's voice cracked. Do what? Brush it off like it's nothing, like you didn't almost die for a complete stranger. Connor shrugged. It's done, you're alive. I'm alive. What's the point of talking about it? The point is I want to understand. Sophia's voice rose. I want to understand why. I was nobody to you, just some cheerleader from your school. You had no reason to help me. You needed help. That's not enough. That's not a reason. People walk past homeless people every day. They walk past car accidents. They walk past people getting hurt because it's not their problem. Sophia's eyes were wet now. Why didn't you walk past me? Connor looked away. The backyard was bare, frozen ground, chain link fence, gray sky. Nothing beautiful, nothing special. My grandmother used to tell me this story, he said quietly, about when she was young. She was waiting for a bus in winter. Some guy collapsed on the sidewalk. Heart attack. Everyone walked past because they didn't want to get involved, didn't want to be late for work, didn't want to deal with someone else's problem. He paused, swallowed. My grandmother stopped, called for help, stayed with him until the ambulance came. He survived. Turned out he was a teacher, had 3 kids, 30 years of students who would have lost him if she'd just walked past. What happened to her? She missed her bus, got fired from her job for being late, had to start over from nothing. Connor finally looked at Sophia. She never regretted it, said she'd do it again every single time. Said being good wasn't about what you got back. It was about who you wanted to be. Sophia wiped her eyes. She sounds amazing. She was. I'm sorry you lost her. Me too, another silence. Different this time. Less awkward, more understanding. I have something for you. Sophia reached into her coat pocket, pulled out a folded piece of fabric. Dad has your jacket in his office. He wants to preserve it. But I had Rosa save this. She unfolded the fabric. A small patch cut from the jacket's lining, faded blue with tiny white flowers. The inside lining was still good. I thought maybe you'd want a piece of it, something to keep. Connor took the patch. His grandmother had sewn that lining herself, back when the jacket was his grandfather's. She'd said the flowers reminded her of the garden they'd had when she was a girl. His throat closed up. Thank you. It's not enough. It'll never be enough. But it's something. Connor tucked the patch into his pocket, close to his heart. It's everything. That night, Connor lay in bed staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. The room was too warm, the bed too soft, his stomach too full. Everything felt wrong in a way that should have felt right. He'd spent 8 months on concrete, hungry, cold, scared. This should have been paradise. Instead, it felt like a trap, a beautiful cage that would slam shut the moment he let himself believe it was real. Connor sat up, swung his legs out of bed. He could leave now, grab his stuff, slip out before anyone noticed. Back to the laundromat, back to being invisible, back to safety. He was halfway to the door when a voice stopped him. Going somewhere. Rosa stood in the hallway, cup of tea in her hands, housecoat wrapped around her, like she'd been waiting, just getting some air. With your shoes on and your backpack. Rosa raised an eyebrow. Try again. Connor said nothing, caught. Come have tea with me. Rosa walked past him toward the kitchen. Not a request, a command. They sat at the kitchen table, steam rising from mismatched mugs. Rosa let the silence stretch before speaking. You were running. I was thinking about it. What stopped you? You. She took a sip. You know how I met Steele? No, I was 19, working at a truck stop diner outside Toledo. Bad home situation. Worse relationship. I was running from everything. convinced the world was out to get me. Connor looked up. Her story sounded familiar. Steele came in with some of his brothers. Just passing through, I brought them coffee and tried not to make eye contact. Rosa smiled at the memory, but he noticed, saw the bruises I was trying to hide, saw the fear, asked me one question. What? Do you want help? And you said yes. I didn't trust him, didn't trust anyone, but something in his eyes made me say yes. And that yes changed everything. He got me out of that situation, gave me a safe place to land, eventually gave me a family. Rosa reached across the table, put her hand over Connor's. That's my life. And I'm telling you because I recognize that look in your eyes. The one that says you're waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for us to hurt you. Connor's hands tightened around his mug. We're not going to hurt you, Connor. We're not going to kick you out. We're not going to use you and throw you away. Rosa's grip tightened. You want to leave. The door's not locked. But if you stay, if you give us a chance, I promise you won't regret it. You don't know that. I know my husband. I know this family. And I know that when we take someone in, we don't let go. Her voice was fierce now. Steele found you dying in the snow, brought you home. That makes you ours, and we protect what's ours. Connor stared at their hands, hers soft and warm, his rough and scarred. I don't know how to stay, he whispered. You learn, one day at a time. Rosa pulled back, smiled. Now drink your tea, go back to bed, and give us a week, 7 days. If you still want to run after that, I'll pack your bag myself. Connor thought about it. 7 days. He could do 7 days. Okay, I'll give you a week. Good. Rosa stood, collected the mugs. And Connor, yeah, the backpack. Leave it in the closet. You're not going to need it. Connor walked back to his room, set the backpack down, climbed into bed. For the first time in 8 months, he didn't plan an escape route, didn't catalog exits, didn't sleep with one eye open. He just slept. 30 miles away, Senator William Carter was making phone calls. His office in the Carter estate was all dark wood and leather, designed to project power and success. Right now, it felt like a cage. Tell me you're handling this. Carter's voice was controlled, barely. On the other end of the line, Sullivan, his fixer, sounded calm. I've reached out to Cross. He's not responding. Not responding? Carter slammed his hand on the desk. Do you know what that means? It means he's planning something. My son left his daughter to freeze to death. This isn't some parking ticket we can make disappear. With respect, Senator, it's not attempted murder unless someone presses charges. The girl's alive. If we can get to Cross, make a deal. You don't make deals with Steele, Cross. Carter's voice rose. Don't you understand that? The man doesn't negotiate, he destroys. Sullivan was quiet for a moment. Then we need leverage. What kind of leverage do you have over the president of the Hells Angels? The girl goes to a public school, kept her identity hidden for 2 years. Cross went to a lot of trouble to give her a normal life. Sullivan paused. That suggests he cares about her reputation, her future. What if we made it clear that any action against your son would result in certain information becoming public? You want to blackmail Steele Cross. I want to give him a reason to walk away. Carter thought about it. 20 years in politics, deals with criminals, corporations, foreign governments. He'd survived scandals that would have buried lesser men. But this was different. Steele Cross wasn't a political opponent. He was a force of nature, a man who commanded respect from the most dangerous people in the state, a man who'd made senators disappear. And Carter's son had tried to kill his daughter. What kind of information? I'm working on it. Everyone has secrets, even biker princesses. Work faster. The longer this goes without resolution, the worse it gets. Carter hung up. His hands were shaking. God help them all. Connor woke to the smell of bacon, real bacon, the kind that crackled in a pan and filled a room and made your mouth water before your eyes even opened. He lay still for a moment, convinced he was dreaming. 8 months of cold cans and stale bread didn't prepare you for waking up to breakfast sounds. You going to sleep all day, or you going to eat? Rosa's voice. Warm, but no nonsense. Connor opened his eyes, and day 3 at the compound. Still here, still real. Bathrooms down the hall. Rosa stood in the doorway. Clean clothes on the chair. You got 10 minutes before the eggs get cold. Connor showered fast. The hot water felt like a luxury, like something that could be taken away at any moment. He dressed in the clothes laid out. Jeans that fit, thermal shirt, thick socks, nothing fancy but clean. Warm. The kitchen was full, brothers everywhere, eating, talking, laughing. Connor hesitated in the doorway. All these people, all this noise, too much. Don't just stand there. Rosa waved him over. Sit, eat. Connor found an empty chair. Rosa slid a plate in front of him. Pancakes, bacon, eggs, orange juice, more food than he'd seen in months. Eat, Rosa said. Don't talk. Just eat. He ate. 3 plates later, he finally slowed down, looked up, found half the table watching him. Kid eats like he's starving. Someone muttered, he was starving. Rosa's voice was sharp. And if anyone's got a problem with how much he eats, they can take it up with me. Silence. Then conversation resumed. Connor kept his head down. Finished his food. After breakfast, a man approached. Maybe 60. Grease-stained hands. Kind eyes. I'm Wrench. Mechanic. Steele says you're supposed to help in the garage today. I don't know anything about motorcycles. Perfect. Clean slate. Wrench grinned. I'll make a mechanic out of you yet. The garage was massive, 20 bikes at least in various states of repair. The smell of oil and metal filled the air. Wrench pointed at a bike on a lift. What do you hear? Nothing. It's not running. Smart ass. Wrench turned the engine over. A rough, uneven sound filled the garage. Now what do you hear? Connor concentrated. There was something wrong with the rhythm. A skip. A hesitation like a heartbeat with a murmur. Something's off. Third cylinder maybe. The timing sounds wrong. Wrench stared at him. You said you don't know motorcycles. I don't. But my grandmother had an old car. A '78 Chevy. It made that same sound when the timing chain was going bad. And you fixed it. Watched a lot of YouTube videos. Trial and error. Connor shrugged. Couldn't afford a mechanic. Wrench broke into a wide smile. Kid, I think you and I are going to get along just fine. For the next 4 hours, Wrench walked Connor through the basics. Engine components, common problems, tools and their uses. Connor absorbed it like a sponge, asking questions, making connections. It felt good, having something to focus on, something concrete and practical that didn't involve survival or fear. You're a natural, Wrench said finally. Most prospects take weeks to get half this far. Prospect, club term, someone who's working toward full membership. Wrench caught Connor's expression. Relax. Nobody's recruiting you, just saying you've got talent. That's rare. Before Connor could respond, a voice called from the garage entrance. Steele needs everyone. Church, now. Church, Connor learned, meant a meeting. The main room transformed as members filed in, taking seats around a long wooden table. Connor hung back near the door until Steele waved him forward. You should hear this. Connor took an empty chair at the end of the table, acutely aware of hostile eyes tracking his movement. A man across the table, built like a tank, face like thunder, watched Connor like he was something stuck to the bottom of his boot. We've got a situation. Steele stood at the head of the table. Senator Carter has been making calls, trying to find leverage against us. What kind of leverage? Someone asked. He's digging into Sophia's background, looking for something to use. The temperature in the room dropped. He's targeting the princess. After what his son did, he's desperate. Steele's expression was stone. Desperate men do stupid things, but we're not going to give him time to find anything. Tomorrow morning, the security footage from Jefferson High goes public, along with text messages between Blake and his friends planning the whole thing. Public. Every news station in Detroit, plus national outlets. Steele smiled coldly. Senator Carter's golden boy caught on camera, leaving a teenage girl to freeze to death because she rejected him. Let's see him spin that. Murmurs of approval rippled around the table. What about the kid? The tank across the table jerked his chin toward Connor. He's a witness. Carter might come after him. He's under our protection. Since when do we protect strays? Since this stray saved my daughter's life. Steele's voice went hard. You got a problem with that razor? The silence stretched. No press, no problem. Good, because here's how this plays out. Carter tries to bury the footage. We release more. He tries to intimidate witnesses. We put him on blast. He tries to come after anyone under our protection. Steele looked directly at Connor. We show him exactly why people fear the Hells Angels. The room erupted. Fists on wood, voices raised in support. Connor sat frozen, trying to process these people. These dangerous men were ready to go to war. For him. After the meeting broke up, Sophia found Connor in the backyard. He was staring at nothing, the fabric patch in his hands. You okay? Your dad just declared war on a senator. Because of me. Because of what the senator's son did. Sophia sat beside him. You're not responsible for Blake being a monster, but I'm responsible for being here, for putting you all in this position. You want to know a secret? What? This family has been in harder fights. Dad took on the cartel in Arizona, went up against corrupt cops in Ohio, faced down federal investigations that should have buried him. Sophia bumped his shoulder with hers. One senator with a psycho son. That's Tuesday. Connor almost smiled. You're trying to make me feel better. Is it working? Maybe a little. Good. Sophia stood up. Dinner's in an hour. Rosa's making pot roast. If you're not there, she'll send Shadow to carry you. And trust me, you don't want that. Connor watched her go. His grandmother's voice echoed in his head. Be good, baby. Whatever happens, you be good. For the first time in 8 months, Connor thought maybe he was exactly where he was supposed to be. Blake Carter sat in his father's study, watching the old man pace. You need to understand how serious this is. Senator Carter's voice was barely controlled. Steele Cross isn't some thug you can push around. He runs one of the most powerful motorcycle clubs in the Midwest. He has connections to organized crime, to corrupt officials, to people who make problems disappear. Blake rolled his eyes. Dad, come on. We're the Carters. You're a senator. He's just a biker. He's not just a biker. Carter spun around, face red. He's a man who's had political enemies vanish without a trace. He's a man who brought down a police chief who crossed him. Carter stopped, forced himself calm. He's not someone you cross. And you tried to kill his daughter. I didn't try to kill anyone. We just left her there for a while. How was I supposed to know she'd almost die? Because it was 15 below zero. Because she was wearing a cheerleading uniform. Because you're supposed to have a functioning brain in your head. Blake's jaw tightened. He wasn't used to being yelled at. Wasn't used to consequences at all. So what do we do? I'm working on it. Sullivan's trying to find leverage. Something to make Cross back off. In the meantime, you don't leave this house. You don't talk to anyone. You don't post anything online. You become a ghost until this blows over. For how long? As long as it takes. Blake slumped in his chair. 3 weeks until winter formal. 3 weeks until hockey playoffs. 3 weeks of his senior year disappearing because some homeless loser had to play hero. This is Connor Blake's fault, he muttered. Carter froze. What? Connor Blake, the janitor kid. If he hadn't given her his coat, she would have just gotten cold and walked home. Nobody would have known we were there. Carter stared at his son. For a moment, something like disgust flickered across his face. You left a girl to freeze to death, and you're blaming the boy who saved her. I'm blaming the person who made this a big deal. If he'd just minded his own business. Enough, Carter's voice cut like a knife. I don't want to hear another word. Go to your room, stay there, and pray to God that Sullivan finds something. Because if he doesn't, everything we've built is going to come crashing down. Blake stood up, anger burning in his chest. This wasn't over. Connor Blake thought he was a hero, thought he could save some biker's water and ride off into the sunset. Blake would show him. Senator's kid versus homeless trash. That wasn't even a fair fight. He just had to wait for the right moment. Connor's first month at the compound was a blur. Learning names, learning rules, learning how to exist in a space that felt both safe and terrifying. Wrench taught him engines, how to diagnose problems by sound, how to tear down a carburetor and rebuild it blindfolded. Connor was good at it, better than good. Natural. Shadow taught him to ride. Connor crashed 3 times the first day, got up every time. By week 2, he could handle a bike without wobbling. By week 4, he was keeping up with the pack on short runs. Doc taught him first aid, how to pack a wound, how to recognize shock, how to save a life when seconds mattered. Connor absorbed it all, every skill, every lesson, every piece of knowledge that might keep him alive. But Razor was different. The sergeant-at-arms assigned Connor the worst jobs. Scrubbing toilets at midnight, moving equipment in the rain, cleaning bikes until his hands bled, testing him, pushing him, waiting for him to break. Connor didn't break. Did every job without complaint. Met Razor's hostile glare with quiet determination. Earned respect one brutal task at a time. 2 months in, something shifted. Connor was cleaning the garage floor. Razor appeared in his doorway, watched for a long moment. "You don't quit, do you?" Razor's voice was gravel. Connor kept scrubbing. "No, sir." "Why not? Most kids would have run by now. Most kids have somewhere to run to." Razor was quiet. Then he walked over, picked up a brush, started scrubbing beside Connor. They worked in silence for an hour. When they finished, Razor stood, looked at Connor. "You did good work today." Connor blinked, surprised. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Just keep doing that." Razor paused at the door. And Connor, "You can drop the sir. Makes me feel old." That was the moment. Small, almost meaningless, but it mattered. Razor saw him now, really saw him. Not as a stray, as a brother. 3 months in, Connor got his first real test. He was leaving the garage late, tired, covered in grease. A drunk stumbled into the compound, started harassing Rosa in the common room. "Hey, sweetheart," the drunk leered. "How about you and me?" Connor stepped between them. "You need to leave." The drunk shoved him. Connor went down hard, got up, stood between the drunk and Rosa again. "Apologized to her." The drunk laughed, shoved him again. Connor stood his ground. Didn't hit back. Didn't run. Just stood there, creating a wall between the drunk and Rosa. Razor appeared from nowhere, grabbed the drunk by the collar, threw him out bodily, locked the door, turned to Connor. "You okay?" "I'm fine." "You didn't fight back." He was drunk. Didn't need fighting, just needed removing. Razor's expression shifted. Something like approval. "You stood between him and Rosa, took 2 hits, didn't back down. She needed protecting." Razor nodded slowly. That was the right call. Connor felt something warm in his chest. Pride maybe, or belonging. Hard to tell the difference. 4 months in, Sophia started having nightmares. Connor would hear her screaming from his room. Wake up, find her in the yard, shaking, crying, reliving that night in the parking lot. He never asked questions, just sat beside her, present, solid, a reminder that she survived. One night she finally spoke. "I can't stop seeing it, Blake's hands, the cold, thinking I'd die." Connor was quiet for a moment. "I see it too, the snowbank, wondering if anyone would find my body. How do you deal?" "I don't. I just keep moving, one day at a time. That's it. That's your whole strategy. It's all I've got." Sophia laughed, sharp and bitter. "We're a mess, yeah." Connor smiled slightly. "But we're a mess together." She leaned her head on his shoulder. For the first time since the parking lot, Sophia felt safe enough to close her eyes. Connor didn't move, just sat there, being an anchor, being family. 5 months in, the footage dropped. Every news channel in Detroit, national coverage within hours. Blake Carter and his friends caught on camera, leaving Sophia in the snow, driving away while she screamed. The public reaction was instant, visceral, outraged. Senator Carter's office flooded with calls, protests at his house, death threats by the dozen. Blake was expelled from Jefferson High, lost his hockey scholarship, facing criminal charges for attempted murder, reckless endangerment, a dozen other counts. Senator Carter's career imploded, forced to resign. His wife filed for divorce. Everything he'd built for 20 years, gone in a week. Connor watched it all from the compound, feeling nothing, no satisfaction, no revenge, just the cold knowledge that Blake had destroyed himself. Connor had just been the catalyst. Steele found him that night. "You doing okay? I don't know what I'm supposed to feel." "You're not supposed to feel anything." Steele sat beside him. "Justice isn't about emotion. It's about making sure people face consequences." Blake faced his. That's all that matters. His whole life is over. His whole life as he knew it. Steele's voice was firm, but Blake's still breathing, still has a chance to change, to become something better, more than most people get. "You think he'll change?" I think people can surprise you. Steele stood, but that's his choice, not our problem. 6 months in, everything changed again. Connor was alone in the compound, most of the brothers out on a run, Steele away on business, Sophia at school. He heard the glass break at 3 a.m., bolted upright, grabbed the first weapon he could find, a wrench from the garage, moved silently through the dark. The back door was shattered. 3 figures inside. Connor recognized them immediately. Blake Carter, Tyler Bennett, Derek Walsh, all carrying guns. There he is. Blake's voice was venom. Homeless hero who ruined my life. Connor backed up, heart pounding. You left Sophia to D. You ruined your own life. Tyler moved left, Derek right, surrounding him. Shut up. You cost Blake everything. Scholarship, future, freedom. Blake stepped closer. I'm here to make you pay. Connor's mind raced. 3 against 1, all armed. No backup. This was bad. You know who I am now. Connor kept his voice steady. I'm under Steel Cross's protection. You kill me, you start a war, you can't win. Derek laughed. We'll make it look like an accident. Homeless kid OD'd. Nobody will question it. Blake raised his gun. Any last words? Connor braced himself. This was it. After everything, after surviving, after finding family, dying at the hands of the same monster who started all of this. I don't think so. Razor appeared from the shadows. Moved like death itself, disarmed Blake in 2 seconds, had Tyler and Derek on the ground before Connor could blink. Blake froze. Terror replacing rage. You just broke into a Hell's Angels clubhouse. Razor's voice was terrifyingly calm. Assaulted someone under our protection. With witnesses. Your daddy can't save you from this. Sirens wailed in the distance. Getting closer. Sophia had called 911 the second she heard the crash. Hiding upstairs. Doing exactly what she'd been trained to do. Police arrived. Blake and his friends were hauled away in handcuffs. Blake screaming. My father will. My father is finished, Razor said quietly. And so are you. After they left, Rose attended Connor's split lip, bruised ribs from when Tyler tackled him. He sat still, let her work, tried not to shake. Why didn't you call for help right away? Rosa asked gently. Didn't want them to hurt Sophia. She was upstairs. I couldn't risk it. So you stood there, took the hits, bought time. It was the right thing to do. Rosa cupped his face in her hands. You're just like him, you know. Like who? Like Steele, 30 years ago. Always running toward trouble instead of away. That's not a compliment, is it? It's an observation. She smiled. Now rest. You earned it. The next morning, Razor found Connor in the garage. Long silence. Then he spoke. You stood your ground. 4 guys. Guns. You didn't run. Didn't beg. I couldn't let them hurt Sophia. That's not nothing. Razor extended his hand. A week ago, I wanted you gone. Now I know you. You've got guts, kid. You've got loyalty. That matters. Connor shook his hand, felt something shift. Razor seeing him. Really seeing him. As an equal. 2 weeks later, Steele called church. Every brother gathered, Connor included. Steele stood at the head of the table. We need to vote. Razor wants to make a motion. Razor stood. I move we make Connor Blake an official prospect of the Hells Angels. Full path to membership. Silence. Then murmurs. He's only 18. Old enough to bleed for us. He took a knife for Shadow in that bar fight. Never complained about prospect work. Knows every rule. Steele looked at Connor. This isn't offered lightly. Prospecting means sacrifice. Proving yourself until there's no doubt you belong. It means following orders, taking the worst jobs, keeping your mouth shut. Steele's eyes were intense. It also means family. Brothers who die for you. Protection that never ends. A place where you belong no matter what. Connor thought about his grandmother, about the laundromat, about 8 months of being nobody, about the coat that changed everything. Yes, his voice was strong, clear. Yes, I want to prospect. I want to earn my place. Steele looked around the table. All in favor. Every hand went up. Even Razor's. Welcome to the family prospect. Steele shook his hand. The room erupted. Brothers clapping his back, making crude jokes about the work ahead. Connor stood there, overwhelmed. This was real. All of it. One more thing. Steele raised his hand for silence. Every prospect gets a road name, something that captures who they are, where they came from. Wrench stood. I say ghost. He was invisible, came back from dead, and he'll haunt anyone who crosses this family. Applause. Agreement. Connor felt tears burning, blinked them away. Ghost, Steele said, from this day forward. The name fit. Perfect. Like it had been waiting for him all along. 6 more months of prospecting, the hardest work of Connor's life. But he did it. Every task, every test, every moment of doubt, he pushed through, earned his place, one brutal day at a time. The night before his patch ceremony, Steele found him in the garage. You ready for tomorrow? I think so. You've earned this, Connor. Every single patch on that vest. Steele's voice was proud. Your grandmother would be proud too. Connor's throat closed up. I hope so. I know so. Steele put a hand on his shoulder. Welcome home, son. Son. The word hit Connor like lightning. Steele had never called him that before. Never crossed that line. Thank you, Connor managed, for everything. Thank you for giving me my daughter back. Steele squeezed his shoulder. Now get some sleep. Big day tomorrow. The patch ceremony was simple. Connor stood before the assembled club. Steele placed the leather vest on his shoulders. Hell's Angels rocker across the back. Ghost patch on the front. Detroit chapter. Full member. The room exploded. Brothers embracing him, Sophia crying, Rosa beaming. This was family. Real family. The kind you chose. The kind that chose you back. Connor was 19 years old. High school diploma earned through night classes. First semester of community college starting next week. Mechanical engineering, because Wrench said he had the mind for it. He'd come so far from that parking lot. From that frozen night. From the boy who'd given away everything and expected nothing back. Now he had everything, and he'd earned every single piece of it. 1 year's changed everything. Connor stood in front of the mirror, adjusting his leather vest. The patches told his story now. Hell's Angels across the back, Ghost on the front, full member insignia replacing the prospect patch he'd worn for 6 grinding months. 20 years old, community college sophomore. Head mechanic at Wrench's shop after the old man retired. Respected brother, family, but something was missing. Purpose beyond survival, beyond belonging. Connor couldn't shake the feeling that he was supposed to do more, be more, leave something behind that mattered. You look like you're thinking too hard. Sophia leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, smirk playing on her lips. 19 now, University of Michigan pre-law year 2. Already clerking for a judge who specialized in youth advocacy. Still the same girl who'd almost died. But stronger, sharper, more herself. Just thinking. Dangerous habit. Connor smiled despite himself. How's school? Brutal. Exams next week. Sophia walked in, sat on his bed. But I wanted to talk to you about something. What? Your future. What you want to do with it. Connor turned back to the mirror. I'm doing it. Mechanic, club. This is enough, is it? Because I've seen you with the new prospects, teaching them, mentoring them. You're good at it, Connor. Helping people, making them feel seen. Connor was quiet. Sophia had a point. He did like working with the younger guys, sharing what he'd learned, being for them what Steele and Wrench and Razor had been for him. What are you suggesting? That maybe you could do that on a bigger scale? Sophia's voice was careful, thoughtful. There are kids out there right now, sleeping in abandoned buildings, skipping meals. Invisible. Just like you were. Connor's chest tightened. He knew. God, he knew. Every winter he thought about them. The invisible kids, the ones nobody saw. What am I supposed to do about it? Build something. Sophia leaned forward. A shelter, a real one. Everything you didn't have. Beds, food, counseling, job training. A place where homeless youth can be seen. That takes money. We'll raise it. Dad will help. The club will help. Your story. Sophia's eyes were bright. Connor people will want to support this. Homeless teen saves biker's daughter. Now saves others. That's a headline. That's something people care about. Connor thought about the laundromat, about frozen water bottles, about wondering if he'd wake up every morning, about the coat, his grandmother's last gift. The thing that saved him by being given away. How much would we need? $500,000 to start. Maybe more. I've saved 50,000 from mechanic work. Then we're already 10% there. Sophia stood. Think about it. Talk to Dad. But Connor, her voice went soft. This could be your legacy. The thing you leave behind. The proof that kindness matters. She left. Connor sat down heavily. Legacy. He'd never thought about legacy, had been too busy surviving. But now maybe it was time to think bigger. Be more than just a survivor. Be someone who helped others survive. That night, Connor approached Steele in his office. The display case with his grandmother's coat still hung on the wall, a reminder of where everything started. I want to build something, Connor said without preamble. A shelter for homeless youth. Everything I didn't have. Steele looked up from his paperwork. How much you need? $500,000 to start. Steele didn't hesitate. Club will match whatever you raise, and I'll call in favors. We'll get this built. Just like that. Just like that. Steele leaned back. You saved my daughter. You earned your place here. You want to use that to save other kids. I'm not going to stop you. I'm going to help you. Connor felt emotion welling up, pushed it down. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Steele smiled slightly. Building something is harder than you think, but if anyone can do it, it's you. The fundraising started small. Connor spoke at a local community center, told his story, homeless teen, freezing night, the coat, the rescue, the family. The second chance, 15 people showed up. They donated $2,000. Then a local news station picked up the story, ran a segment, Connor's face on TV, his words reaching thousands. The donations tripled, then tripled again. Within a month, they had $100,000. Within 3 months, $200,000. The momentum was building, growing. People wanted to help, wanted to be part of something good. Sophia handled the legal work, filing for nonprofit status, navigating permits, city regulations, using everything she was learning in law school, making it real, making it official. The location came from an unexpected place. The city was demolishing the old laundromat, Connor's home for 8 months, the building where he'd survived winter, where he'd hidden from the world. Steele bought the property, donated it to the nonprofit. Connor stood in the rubble and felt something click into place. This was right. This was meant to be. The design came together over months. Rosa consulted on the kitchen. Doc on the medical wing, Shadow on security, every member of the club contributing, making this a family project. 3 stories, 50 beds, industrial kitchen, counseling rooms, medical clinic, computer lab for job training, educational support. Everything a kid would need to transition from homeless to housed, from invisible to seen. They carved Ghost House in stone above the entrance. Connor's road name, his identity, his legacy. Construction took 6 months. Every Hell's Angel volunteering time. Razor led the crew. Wrench designed the heating systems. Shadow installed cameras. Doc stocked the medical supplies. It was beautiful. Watching these hardened men, these bikers, these outlaws, building something purely good, purely helpful. No angle, no profit, just love expressed through labor. 3 weeks before the grand opening, Connor's phone buzzed. Unknown number. He almost ignored it. Unknown numbers meant problems. But something made him answer. Ghost. The voice was weak, broken. It's Blake Carter. Connor's blood turned to ice. How did you get this number? I still have contacts. Please, I need help. Why would I help you? Because I'm going to die tonight. Connor closed his eyes. This was insane. Blake Carter, the monster who started everything, who left Sophia to die, who broke into the compound, who tried to kill him. Call the cops. I can't. I've got warrants. These guys. Blake's voice cracked. I owe them money. 50,000. They're going to kill me if I can't pay. And I can't pay. That's not my problem. Please, Blake was crying now, actual tears. I know I don't deserve your help. I know what I did, but you're the only one who might actually come. Connor thought about his grandmother, about being good, about choosing kindness even when it cost everything. Where are you? Blake gave an address, Warehouse District. Connor hung up. stared at his phone. Every rational thought screamed to ignore this. Let Blake face the consequences of his choices. But Connor wasn't rational, never had been. He grabbed his jacket, his keys, rode into the night. The warehouse was exactly what Connor expected. Abandoned, dark, dangerous. He killed his engine a block away, approached on foot, every sense on high alert. He found Blake behind a dumpster. The transformation was shocking. The golden boy was gone. In his place, a gaunt addict, track marks on his arms, clothes that hadn't been washed in weeks, eyes that had seen too much and couldn't unsee any of it. You came. Blake's voice was hollow. I didn't think you actually would. Neither did I. Connor crouched beside him. What happened? Everything. Nothing. Blake laughed bitterly. After the arrest, after my dad's career imploded, I just stopped caring, started using, started dealing to fund the habit, got in deep with guys who don't take IOUs. How much do you owe? 50,000. Might as well be 50 million. That's a lot of drugs. That's a lot of bad decisions. Blake met Connor's eyes. Why are you here? Really, after everything I did to you, honestly. Connor sat back against the dumpster. I'm not sure. That's not an answer. It's the only one I've got. Connor looked up at the stars, barely visible through the city lights. My grandmother used to say being good wasn't about calculations. It was about character, about choosing kindness even when it's stupid. So you're here because of your dead grandmother. I'm here because letting you die would make me someone I don't want to be. Headlights appeared, 2 cars, 8 men. Connor's stomach dropped. How long until they come looking? Could be now. The cars stopped. Doors opened. Men poured out. Connor recognized the type. Professional criminals. The kind who killed without hesitation. Well, the leader was big. Gold teeth. Prison tattoos everywhere. Little Blake brought a friend. How thoughtful. I don't have your money, Blake stammered. But I can get it. I just need more time. Time's up. Goldteeth looked at Connor. Who's this? Your bodyguard. Nobody, just someone I know. Let him go. He's seen our faces, knows where we operate. Goldteeth smiled. Sorry, kid. Wrong place, wrong time. Connor stood slowly, hands visible, non-threatening. You know who I am, should I? Check your phone. Look up Ghost. Hell's Angels Detroit. One of the men did. His face went pale. Boss, he's telling the truth. Ghost. The coat story. He's all over the news. Goldteeth's expression shifted. So you're some biker's charity case. So what? So Steel Cross doesn't lose family. Ever. Connor kept his voice steady. You kill me, you start a war you can't win. You kill Blake while I'm watching same thing. Either way, your operation ends tonight. We could kill you both, dump the bodies. My club knows I'm here. Connor lied smoothly. They're probably already on their way. Goldteeth looked at his men, looked at Connor, looked at the gun in his hand. The calculation was visible. Risk versus reward. The debt stands. 50,000. Blake has 1 month or this conversation happens again. And next time your biker friends won't save you. Fine. Goldteeth pointed the gun at Connor. Stay out of our business. Next time I see you, I won't be so understanding. Noted. The men left, engines roaring, headlights sweeping away. Connor let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. Holy God. Blake collapsed. You just bluffed a drug lord. Don't remind me you could have died. For me. After everything. Blake's voice broke. Why? Connor leaned against the wall, suddenly exhausted. Because I'm not the kind of person who lets someone die when I can help. Even people who've hurt me. That doesn't make sense. Being good rarely does. Blake was silent for a long moment. What happens now? Now you have 1 month. Either pay your debt and start over or die. Your choice. I don't have 50,000. Then earn it. Get clean, get a do whatever it takes. Connor started walking toward his bike. Or don't. It's your choice. Wait. Blake struggled to his feet. Where are you going? Home. Where I should have stayed. Can't you help me? Talk to your club. Maybe they could. No, Connor spun around. I saved your life tonight. That's more than you deserve. But I'm not solving your problems. I'm not paying your debts. I'm not babysitting you through recovery. You want a second chance. Earn it yourself. I don't know how. Figure it out. That's what the rest of us do. Connor mounted his bike. There's a rehab facility on the east side, saints and sinners. Tell them Ghost sent you. They'll take you in. And then what? Then you prove you're more than the worst thing you've ever done. Connor kicked the engine to life. Or you don't. Your call. He rode away. Didn't look back. Blake Carter's redemption wasn't Connor's responsibility. Saving him once was enough. More than enough. The compound was dark when Connor got home. Almost midnight, everyone asleep except Shadow on security duty. Connor went straight to his room, lay on his bed, stared at the ceiling. His phone buzzed an hour later. Unknown number. Text message. Text. I checked into saints and sinners. One day sober. Hardest thing I've ever done. I don't know if I'll make it, but I'm trying. Thank you. Connor stared at the message. Typed back. One day at a time. He didn't expect a response. Didn't need one. Blake's journey was Blake's problem. Connor had his own legacy to build. The grand opening of Ghost House drew a crowd Connor never expected. 200 people, news crews, city officials, representatives from shelters across the state, and filling the front rows every member of the Hells Angels Detroit chapter. Dressed in their cleanest leather, patches gleaming, Sophia sat between Rosa and Wrench, beaming, 19 years old and already changing the world through law. This was her project too, her vision made real. Connor approached the podium. His hands were steady, his voice clear. 3 years ago, I was dying in a snowstorm. The crowd went silent. I was 17, homeless, invisible. I'd been sleeping in the building that used to stand on this spot, surviving on scraps and willpower. And I was running out of both. He paused, let the weight settle. Then I met a girl who was dying faster than me. I had a choice. Keep my coat, save myself, or give away everything I had and hope for the best. His eyes found Sophia's. She was crying, smiling through it. I chose to give, not because I was brave, not because I was smart, because my grandmother raised me to believe that being good matters more than being safe. His voice thickened. That choice should have killed me. I collapsed in the snow 2 miles from here, my body shutting down. But someone found me. Someone cared enough to search. Connor looked at Steele, and that someone gave me something I'd lost a long time ago, a family. Steele nodded once. That was enough. Ghost House exists because nobody should die alone in the cold. Nobody should have to choose between freezing to death and giving away their only protection. Every kid who walks through those doors will have what I didn't. A warm bed, a hot meal, and people who see them, who care, who refuse to let them become invisible. He gripped the podium. My grandmother used to say the coldest nights show you who has the warmest heart. She was right. And tonight in her memory, we're going to prove that Detroit's heart is warmer than any winter. Applause erupted. Connor stepped back, overwhelmed. This was real, all of it. The building, the mission, the legacy. After the ceremony, a man approached, standing apart from everyone else. Connor almost didn't recognize him. Blake Carter, clean, healthy, steady. Nothing like the addict from 3 weeks ago. Ghost. Blake's voice was different too. Calmer, more certain. Blake, you look alive. 3 years sober next month. Counselor at Saints and Sinners. Helping kids who ended up where I almost did. Connor blinked. 3 years. Blake pulled out his phone, showed Connor a photo. Group of teenagers smiling. Youth outreach program. 37 kids helped last year. Safe housing, therapy, education. His voice cracked. That's because of you. Because you didn't let me die when you should have. You did the work. You stayed sober. But I wouldn't have had the chance if you'd walked away. Blake met his eyes that night in the warehouse, when you stepped in front of that gun. First time in my entire life someone put themselves at risk for me, just because they thought I was worth saving. Everyone's worth saving. That's the whole point. I know that now. Blake put his phone away. I'm not asking to be your friend. I'm not asking to be part of Sophia's life or the club or any of that. I just needed you to know that what you did mattered, that the seed you planted grew. Connor looked at this man, this person who'd tormented him, who'd left Sophia to die, who'd broken into the compound, who'd nearly got them both killed, and now somehow something else entirely. 37 kids, That's not a seed, Blake. That's a forest. For the first time in 3 years, Blake Carter smiled. A real smile, maybe. But you planted the first tree. They shook hands. No friendship, no absolution, but something like peace. Take care of yourself, Connor said. You too, Ghost, you too. Blake disappeared into the crowd. Connor watched him go, processing. People could change, could become better, could choose redemption over destruction. It was rare, but possible. 1 year later, Ghost House was thriving. 40 kids sheltered, 15 placed in permanent homes, 8 enrolled in college. The success rate was better than anyone expected. Connor ran the operation with help from volunteers, most of them former homeless youth themselves, people who understood, who'd been invisible, who wanted to help others be seen. Mia Hayes was one of the first residents, 14 years old. Bruises everywhere, running from an abusive foster home. She showed up at 2 a.m., fear in her eyes, desperate hope that maybe someone would help. Connor met her at the door, saw himself 3 years ago. You're safe now, I promise. Mia broke down, sobbing, great heaving sobs from somewhere deep. Connor showed her the scars on his hands, frostbite damage that never quite healed. 3 years ago, I clawed out of a snowbank with these hands. 8 months homeless, gave away my only coat, almost died. I know what you're feeling, and I promise you, you will survive this. Mia stared at the scars, looking for lies, finding none. I'm scared, I know. Connor took her hand gently. But you're not alone. That's the difference. Over the following weeks, Connor watched Mia transform, slowly, painfully, but undeniably. She went to counseling, started school, learned that the voice in her head saying she was worthless. That voice was a liar. One night, 6 months in, Mia found Connor in his office. I wanted to thank you, she said quietly, for giving me a chance when nobody else would. You earned it. You did the work. But you showed me it was possible. That people like us, people who've been invisible, we can become something. Mia's voice was stronger now, more certain. I'm going to be a social worker, help other kids who end up where I was. Connor felt pride swell in his chest. That's a good dream. It's because of you, because you proved that one person can make a difference. After she left, Connor sat alone, thinking about legacy, about the ripples spreading outward. He'd saved Sophia. Steele had saved him. He'd saved Mia. Mia would save others. On, forever. That was legacy, not buildings or money. People. Lives changed, futures created, hope given to the hopeless. The Hells Angels started a program that winter, the Warm Coat Initiative, collecting coats, distributing them to homeless youth across Detroit. 500 coats the first year, 1,000 the second, and then growing every winter. They put Connor's grandmother's coat in the promotional materials, behind glass, preserved, a symbol of what one act of kindness could create. Steele made a speech at the coat drive launch. This coat represents something bigger than fabric. It represents a choice, a young man giving away his survival so a stranger could live. That choice saved my daughter, saved him, and now it's saving hundreds more. Steele looked at Connor. My brother Ghost taught us what we'd forgotten. That kindness isn't weakness. That protecting the vulnerable is strength. That family isn't just the people who share your blood. It's the people you choose and who choose you back. Applause. Connor stood, overwhelmed. This was bigger than him now, bigger than any one person. This was movement, community, change. 2 years after Ghost House opened, Connor stood on the roof, alone, holding his grandmother's fabric patch. The blue flowers faded, but still visible, still real. A blizzard raged outside, worst in 5 years, 20 below. Wind chills making it feel like 40. Inside Ghost House, 53 kids slept warm, fed, safe, invisible no more. Steele appeared beside him. Can't sleep, just thinking. About how far 3 years goes by. I think about that night too. Steele leaned against the railing, finding you in that snowbank. How close I came to losing everything. Sophia and you. I didn't know it would change everything. That's what makes it matter. You didn't do it for reward. Steele paused. I've met a lot of people, Connor. Most are exactly what you expect, but you're genuinely good down to your bones. I still think about leaving sometimes. Why? Because good things don't last. Part of me is always waiting for this to end. Steele gripped his shoulder. Stop waiting to lose this family. You're not going to lose us, not because of mistakes, not because of fear. This is permanent, Connor. This is forever. Connor looked at Steele. This man who'd saved him, who'd become father, mentor, friend, everything. I'm home. The words came out certain, final. Damn right you are. Below Ghost House lights twinkled. Mia led younger kids in hot chocolate. Sophia reviewed legal documents for expansion plans. Rosa cooked for 53. Brothers laughed, worked, lived. Connor looked up at the stars, spoke to his grandmother. I did it, Grandma. I was good. Whatever happened, I was good. The stars didn't answer. Didn't need to. Because Connor Blake, the boy called Ghost, had proven something fundamental. That one act of kindness could change the world. Not through power, not through wealth, through love, through sacrifice, through choosing to be good when being good cost everything. His grandmother had planted the seed, taught him to be kind, to see people, to help without expecting return. Connor had watered that seed with every choice, every sacrifice, every moment he chose kindness over safety. And now the forest was growing. Ghost House, the Warm Code Initiative, Blake's youth outreach program, Mia's future in social work, Sophia's advocacy law, hundreds, thousands, millions of lives touched by one coat given away on one frozen night. That was legacy. That was everything. Connor tucked the patch back in his pocket, turned toward the door. Tomorrow there would be more work, more kids to help, more seeds to plant. But tonight he was home, and that was enough. That was everything. The coldest nights show you who has the warmest heart. Connor Blake proved that a single choice could ripple forward forever. That being good wasn't weakness. That kindness was the strongest force in the world. He walked inside, the door closed, the lights stayed on, and somewhere in the infinite darkness above, his grandmother was smiling.